Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. We continue with our retro reviews for the Blue Orange movie poster challenge. Go check out the details in the description so you know all the movies I'll be watching for that, or follow me on Letterboxd for that. So this next movie comes by the same director as our first film, and I was not aware because the quality of this film definitely does not match that of The Bourne Identity, which was the first film that I reviewed for this challenge. Uh, this week we are looking at Jumper from 2008. This movie is rated PG-13 as of the recording of this video. It has a Rotten Tomato score of 15% with the critics, 44% with the audience. I remember watching this back in the day, and unfortunately, yeah, it has not improved a lot on me. This movie was directed by Doug Liman, who, as I mentioned, was the director on The Bourne Identity that we did the previous entry on this retro movie reviews. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I really enjoyed. The Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, whatever you want to call that film. Um, which was also great. I really enjoyed that as well. This movie is written by David Goyer, Jim Oles, and Simon Kinberg. In this film, we see an aimless David Rice who has the ability to instantly transport himself to any place he can imagine. He uses this gift to globetrot, living on money he steals by jumping into bank vaults. He's captured by the evil Roland Cox, who knows how to keep David from jumping. David escapes to reunite with his high school crush, Millie, and then forms an alliance with a fellow jumper, Griffin, as he prepares for mortal combat with Cox. So, as you can tell from this premise, it is very much all over the place, and I'll get into that over in the review. This movie stars Hayden Christensen as David Rice, which is always really nice to go back and see Hayden Christensen's work. I think that he didn't do much after the Star Wars films because of the backlash that he got from those films, but now he's having kind of this renaissance where people have realized that they really appreciate it. Like there's a whole generation of people appreciating those films, and I'm really glad that he's back in the spotlight. We also have Jamie Bell as Griffin, the other jumper, Rachel Bilson as Millie, Diane Lane as Mary Rice, who is David's mom, Samuel L. Jackson as Roland Cox, and of course Michael Rooker as William Rice, who is David's dad. Um, yeah, overall, this film was it's just not very good, which is weird because I think it has a lot of really fun ideas to explore. The beginning of it, I was really on board because it really feels like this sci-fi film that we could get into and explore that ability. You know, we see David trying to master his jumps, trying to learn how to control that, which is really fun. But then we kind of take this twist into like this. It almost feels um, like yeah, a teenage boy who wanted to live out some fantasies and kind of just never stopped, which feels very weird. I think an exploration of that the jumping powers or what somebody could really do to fully utilize them would have been fun. Also, maybe even some kind of heist. It also feels like David is all over the place as a character, although Hayden Christensen is very charming. His story was just not very good, which makes the performance really tough to get. Because we know that he likes this girl Rachel. Sorry, we know that he likes this girl Millie, played by Rachel Bilson. Um, but we never fully understand why he would never go back up until the point where he's willing to risk everything just to make sure she's safe. Like I feel like he kind of is digging his own problems. So yeah, after after we get into the jump of it, this movie has some really interesting action. There's some scenes that are fun. I think the jumping is a fun concept as a whole. um, and all the for the special effects, for the most part, I think they're actually very well done. There's a few parts where maybe some of the CGI hasn't aged very well, or maybe they made some weird editing choices as well. But like this could have also been just this really fun like heist or adventure film following this jumper around. And like I said, Christensen delivers a fun performance. Samuel L. Jackson does not, like his character. like I wasn't even sure of his motivation. He seems like a bad guy just for bad guy's sake. We never fully understand what these paladins want from the jumpers, and vice versa. I feel like they were setting up maybe a franchise or trying to set up a franchise, but the old saying, you can't put the cart before the horse, because that's not, you're not going to go anywhere. Um, so yeah, I unfortunately, uh, unfortunately, Samuel L. Jackson's performance, I was not a big fan of. Also, you have Diane Lane, you barely utilize her talents. You have Michael Rooker, you also barely utilize his talents. I know this movie is about David, but I think seeing an exploration of his dynamic with his father and his mom, which they kind of set up the mom at the end, because she's supposed to be an adversary. We discover that she's a paladin. She has a whole other family with a daughter played by Kristen Stewart, who could have been maybe. I think it would have been fun to see her maybe be one of the people chasing David, and then kind of put them as at odds as step siblings. I think that would have been fun. But overall, it's just the movie just falls flat, and everything that it's trying to explore, it just abandons to move on to the next thing, which is very weird. It's almost jumping around on itself. Yeah, so this whole movie was a disappointment, unfortunately. But it's on the list. We have to watch it. Sometimes it's good to go back and watch these things, because you never know if you're going to have a different perspective. But I can definitely see on this case why this movie did not engage the audiences as much as it could have. It just feels like it came out at the wrong time, when there was so much other much, like, this is the beginning of the MCU and things, when other action movies were really uh, making things a little bit different, right? This one just kind of fell short through all that stuff. Um, I think I do want to mention Jamie Bell and Hayden Christensen have this fight where they kind of just start jumping all over the place. I really like that. I really like the jumping powers, because it reminds me of Nightcrawler, who's one of my favorite characters in the X-Men. If you haven't seen X-Men 2, X-Men United, go check it out. That has one of the best opening sequences to any superhero film. Um, and yeah, like I said, I think it was fun when Kristen Stewart showed up out of nowhere, like towards the end of the film. And like I said, I wish we had seen more of her, more of Diane Lane, more of the Paladins to explore that. There's a scene where Samuel L. Jackson, a Roland character, catches a jumper and just kills him, like saying that these powers should only be wielded by God. Like, are they religious fanatics? Like, there was never really an explanation as to why the Paladins, um, like, what their beef was with the jumpers, other than they were trying to stop them from committing crimes, which that part's understandable. If even the Paladins had been like some kind of government agency, that would have made a little bit more sense. Yeah, I just feel like there were some really, really important missed opportunities in this film. But it's a very short film. It goes by very quickly. It's only 90 minutes, including the credits. So it was not too much of a task to get this done. But yeah, so I mean, feel free to try to check it out. It's also not streaming anywhere, so I had to rent it, or at least not streaming anywhere. Um, I had to rent it, so that's a few dollars down the drain for this as well. But it is what it is. There's a lot of really good films out there on this list, so hopefully you can join me along for this ride. You can find the full list of movies in my letterbox. I made a list. Link is down in the description of the video, and then this is going to take a little while. It's a long-term project for the channel, but I'm excited to engage and revisit some of these films, and also excited to explore some new films that are on the list that I had never seen. So let me know what you think of this film. Let me know what you thought of The Bourne Identity, if you saw my review for that, or which movies you may be excited for me to do on the list. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.